Now, Maimonides, I've talked about in the previous videos, maybe one or two, about the Sabean people. And I have told you that Abraham came from this tribe of people. And these people lived in what? Southern Yemen and region of modern Ethiopia, that part of the world. And they had their own religion, they had their own culture, custom, they had a king and all that. And Abraham became a rebel and he started teaching things that were against what the Sabeans held dear, and he was put in prison, and then he was sent away by the king, and he left that his homeland and he went roaming. And we've read part of what happened to him in the Bible, if you've read the Bible. Now, he also tells us other things that the Sabeans believed, and to be honest, some of this is very controversial, especially if you are a Christian or a Muslim or religions that or a Jewish person, people who hold dear the Bible and believe that whatever the Bible says is the truth and the only truth. Now, it tells us that the Sabeans, who the tribe from which Abraham came from, had some beliefs, and some of these are, as I've said, very controversial. And one of the beliefs is around Adam. Of course, we know the Bible tells us Adam is the very first man. He was created by God, and then God created Eve for him, and then the world population started from that couple. Of course, the Muslims believe the same, and of course, the Jewish believe the same. But the Nabateans had the Sabeans, sorry, the Sabeans had a kind of slightly different story about Adam. For them, they believe that Adam was not the first person, not the first man. They say he was just a person who was born into a tribe, and what made him to stand out is he he was a prophet. And in fact, I think he's a Muslim who teach that Adam was the first prophet. Something, maybe I might be wrong. You'll forgive me if that's not what it is, but I think I've heard something like that, or maybe it's not. So the Sabeans treated Adam as a prophet. He was the first prophet, according to them, and he was just born into a tribe. Let me read what Maimonides says. Maimonides says, Adam was in their belief a human being born from male and female, like the rest of mankind. He was only distinguished from his fellow men by being a prophet sent by the moon. He accordingly called the men to the worship of the moon, and he wrote several works on agriculture. So that's what the Sabean believed, that Adam was just born into a tribe and he was a prophet. And they also say he wrote books that, yeah, he wrote books that they continued reading up to that point. They had books around that they always claimed were written by Adam, which is very interesting. Adam, they say, left the torrid zone near India, entered the region of Babylon, bringing with him wonderful things such as the golden tree and that was growing and had leaves and branches, a stone tree of the same kind, and a fresh leaf of the proof against fire. He related that there was a tree which could shelter 10,000 men, although they had only the height of a man. 2 leaves he brought with him, which was sufficient to cover 2 men. So apparently Adam was born in the region near India, which is very interesting also. And he left that region and he went north, and he carried with him, he brought to the north some trees. Some of them were so huge and some of them had these huge leaves that somebody could cover themselves with. I don't know whether this could be fiction, or we'll never know whether it's true or it was just stories created. It's hard to tell with these ancient stories what is true and what is fiction, what is figurative tales, and what is so hard to tell, of course. But that's what the Sabeans believed, though. The Sabeans believed Adam was born in the region near India, and then he traveled up north and he was a prophet. And they say Sabeans contend that Seth differed from his father Adam as regard to the worship of the moon. And they say that there was at some point there was a disagreement between Adam and Seth. Of course, in the Bible we know that Seth was his, I think, third son after Cain and Abel. Now the Sabeans believed that at some point there was a disagreement between Adam and Seth over the worship of the moon. And the book describes things. So now that's the Nabatean agriculture. That's described things as having been mentioned by Adam. Like that book described things being mentioned by Adam in his book. Now the Nabatean agriculture quotes a book written by Adam. Interesting. Yeah, so Maimonides gives us another glimpse of of the view that some part of human society have had about Adam. Of course, today most people, or many people, have the understanding that Adam was the first human being to be created by God, and then he had his wife Eve, and from there, everybody today in the world is a descendant of that couple. But Maimonides tells us that the Sabeans, the tribe from which Abraham came from and rebelled against and started saying their beliefs were wrong, didn't believe like that. They believed Adam to have been born into a tribe, and he was a prophet. And maybe that can explain some of the issues that arise when you read the book of Genesis, because we are told Adam had this son, and these sons went and got married, got wives from somewhere. And in fact, we are told from some tribes, which does not make sense. If Adam was the first human being, then which other tribes are being mentioned? Where does these other tribes get from where the sons go and get wives? A bit confusing. So maybe this gives that explanation that Adam was living amongst, with the time he was living, there were other people around. Maybe I might be wrong about that. It's just me trying to think through these things. So yeah, so that's what Maimonides tells us the Sabeans thought or thought about Adam.